Hello, welcome back to Rev Solutions. In today's video I'm going to talk about why you should part with your money and buy a BMW E85 Z4 over other cars. Now the first thing I'm going to say is the price. These cars, you can pick them up between £2,000 and £5,000. This model was under £3,000. This is a 2006, it was registered I think August 2006, and for a, what are we now, 16 and a half year old car, I mean, you put this up against any other modern car and it still will punch above its weight. I mean, for a very old car in today's standards, look at the styling. It just looks on point still. It's got a lovely long roadster bonnet. The roof is obviously canvas, but once that's conditioned and looks black again, it will look really, really nice. So, the looks, why would you not go for a Z4? Now, coming around to the side of the car, it's just got nice sleek designs. I mean, look at the way that the actual body curves over the rear, down and back up again. Again, a timeless look. I think it is a brilliant, brilliant choice to pick up. Now I'll go back to the price between £2,000 and £5,000. £5,000 will get you a very, very nice one with a low mileage. This has got now 105,000 miles on the clock with 8 owners. So it's been around a little bit. However, it's 16, nearly 17 years old with 105,000 miles on the clock. That is really, really good. And that's the other thing that is really nice about the Z4s. They seem to be used by car enthusiasts, so they tend to be looked after quite well. Mileage is kept relatively low because most people that do own these only take them out throughout the nice weather and summertime. So you'll probably find that a lot of them are very low mileage. Obviously, you are going to get some that are very, very high mileage, but again, the price falls down. Now, when it comes to the parts for this car, I've actually purchased the majority of things I've fixed on it from BMW direct. For instance, the cigarette lighter, or in German words, the cigar lighter, because it's a BMW, they're classy, they don't call them cigarette lighters, cigar lighters. That cost me, I think it was £11 plus VAT, direct from BMW. Now, the cheapest one I found online was on eBay. That came in at £22, free delivery, but £22 for a non-genuine part, or £11 plus VAT from BMW, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's always worth phoning up your local dealership and looking at the price that they charge for parts for this. Another example, for instance, is the bolts down on the front bumper here. There's several bolts actually holding the front bumper arch into here. There's a couple down this side and a couple down the other side, and then you've got a few around the bottom. They cost me £8 from BMW. People say that main dealerships are expensive, and yes, they are for certain things, but for this, they're an absolute bargain. Also, inside the wheel arch, you've got the cover that protects the headlight from getting waterlogged. That was missing when I purchased this car, and from BMW again, that part was £20. £20 for a chunk of plastic, which I think it's massive, but £20, that's really reasonable. The only thing I'm going to have a gripe about with the price is just underneath this wing there's a bracket. Now that bracket, I'm not even joking, it is about that big on the car. It might sit here or here, I think it's actually here, so it's a couple of inches long. That bracket was £23 plus VAT. Now it's a crucial part because it holds on the bumper to the wing, so it's a necessity I needed to get, but I wasn't going to try and go after market, because again I was finding some of those on even AliExpress. One of them was going for like £600. I don't know why anyone would pay that, but £600 will go to BMW, £23, it's a no-brainer really. The headlights, now the headlights, when I bought this car, they were absolutely disgusting. Check our other video out on how we replaced those. This one was completely waterlogged, it was smoked out, it was hideous. When we actually took the cable out the back of it, the water and the rust that is just poured out of it, the corrosion was vile. But anyway, nonetheless, the headlights for this are expensive, and they are expensive second hand. I mean, you're looking at potentially £300–400 for one headlight second hand in relatively okay condition. So I bit the bullet, I went straight onto eBay and I bought these Angel Eye headlights for I think it was about £390, and it took a couple of hours to fit. I haven't had a quote from BMW, but I can imagine it will be very expensive. I had an E90 BMW, and when I broke one of the headlight brackets for the adjustable lens, it actually cost me, I think BMW charged £900 plus VAT just for one headlight. So for the Z4, you can get the headlights relatively cheap, but at the moment that is the biggest expenditure I've had to pay on this car. So if you want a BMW but you don't want to pay over the odds for the actual vehicle and also parts, the Z4 is a great competitor for getting a car for relatively cheap and maintaining it on a relatively cheap basis. When it comes to the engine, that might be a bit expensive, but so far this engine is not giving me any issues whatsoever. Now the next thing about the BMW and why you should buy it is the fact that it looks like an expensive car. The amount of people that have commented on the way this vehicle looks is almost daily that I speak to. They say, God, that's a really nice expensive car. How much did that cost? Well, when I tell them that it was closer to £2,500 and they just don't believe it. They cannot get their head around that a car looking like this in this condition costs £2,500. We've got another car, a Ford Mondeo. That thing costs us £5,500. This is cheaper than a Mondeo, yet it looks 10 times more expensive. Now I believe this car came in at about £23,000 from brand new from BMW, which is, I mean, going back 16, nearly 17 years, that would have been a lot of money. In today's standards, £23,000 for a convertible BMW is dirt cheap. You're never going to get anything this cheap for this this price. But in today's standards, £2,500 roughly, well, between £2,000 and £5,000 for a convertible that looks this good is fantastic. You take care of it and you do look after it, you are going to make heads turn, because people think this is an expensive car and it still looks it. The next thing why you should buy this BMW Z4 over other cars is its driver orientated position for the cockpit. Everything is just focused for the driver. It is flat. The older BMWs that were, say, mid-90s, they were all angled slightly. So the E36 BMWs, they were angled nicely. I think even the Z3 was angled slightly towards the driver. However, this is quite flat. But from a driving position, you've got the steering wheel nice and tight. You've got a nice centre console which is splitting the passenger and the driver. The handbrake is close. You've got a nice pad there for your arm, which is like a mini armrest. Everything is just focused for the drive. You can sit nice and low to the floor, which gives you a good centre of gravity, so you can really feel how this car handles when you drive it. The sun visors are very, very small, but let's face it, I've only got a good couple of inches worth of space when I'm actually got the sun visor down, so I don't want that too low, so sometimes it's just better to put sunglasses on. But this car is really set up for a driving experience. Let's face it, the BMW, I think their logo or their motto once was the ultimate driving machine, and the Z4 definitely lives up to that motto. However, when it comes to the engine on the 2 litres, let's face it, there isn't much of an engine. You've got all this space at the front, which just doesn't really give you anything visually appealing to look at. The 6-cylinder ones, however, they are a lot better. The engine is chunkier in the body. It feels a purpose. But the 2 litre, it's just a basic engine. It's nothing to write home about. I think the 0 to 60 time is 7.9 seconds, which isn't anything to get excited about. But then when you even look at the Z4 2.2, 2.5 and 3 litres, again, they're still, in my terms, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree, that they are just very, very slow cars. I mean, they're all +5, nearly 6 seconds, 0 to 60. It's nothing exciting. So yeah, the engine is a bit of a letdown visually, but there are plenty worse engines out there, and for a very, well, like I said, 16-year-old car, this is not anything powerful. It's 147 brake horsepower, 150 brake horsepower. It does the job, but it's more about how this machine drives than how it performs. The last thing I will talk about the Z4 is the fact that this car handles like an absolute go-kart. It is low, it is planted, it is stiff. You do feel that through your back every now and again. You go over a pothole and wow, does it hurt. However, that's a small price to pay for a very, very cheap, amazing handling car. Now, this car is completely stock. There is nothing that has been done to this car. If I was to put this car on the track at Goodwood, for instance, it would handle amazingly. The just the ergonomics of it is, it's set for the drive, it's set to just grip and grip. I can't fault the handling of it at all. Yes, I do need the tracking sorted on it, and I'm going to be going over to the wheel specialist, I think it is, or the tracking wheel specialist in Southampton. I'll put a link below so you can check out their website. They specialise in getting cars set up for drifting, for the road, for however you want your car set up, for whatever you're using for track, drift, road use, everything. They are fantastic. So I've used them in the past and I'll be using them again for this car. The final thing that I will mention on this car, which I have forgot to do, is the actual roof. It's a convertible. It is an easy to operate convertible. There are a couple of manual ones out there. I think they're more for the American market, but I have heard of a couple in the UK. You've got two buttons to operate the roof. You press and hold one, roof goes up, press and hold the other, roof goes down. If the motor fails, yes, like I said in the previous video, with the roof, it's £400 from BMW. You can get it for less than £120 on eBay, but if it doesn't work, just pull the cord out the back of it and it gives you the manual operation for this roof. For some reason, this one didn't really seem to work. I pulled the cord and it just carried on with the operation via the electronics. However, I'm not going to argue with that. It's working still, which is really strange because I'm pretty sure this gave up the other day, but never mind, it works. So yeah, this car is a fantastic value for money. If you're looking in the range for a £2,000 to £5,000 for a very nice sporty looking car, get a BMW Z4.